Goddesses, and take some time to educate our minds. Educate, for sure, me. I'm reading it because I obviously need it. So, Tiffany Aliche, the budgetista, gets good with dinero. Get good with money, honey. Get good with the dinero. All right, so you get the point. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I just started it yesterday, so I don't mind. We're gonna start from the very beginning. Now, you can definitely get the book yourself, and if you want to read, you know, prior. Well, introductions are important. We'll read the introduction, but everything else, you don't have to get the book. So I plan to read this book every day. I have to confirm a time, but it will be read every day, or at least 30 minutes. So, just so I don't have to look at the timer, let's go ahead. You know what? I've been working with eights. I said I was going to start working with eights. So, I won't do less. Might as well do more. 38 minutes and 8 seconds. Yeah. 38 minutes and 8 seconds. Let's begin. Introduction. I messed up. No, I really messed up this time. Oh, 1 second. Good thing I remembered. All right. All right. Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetista. 10 simple steps to becoming financially whole. Get good. Get good with money. Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetista. 10 simple steps to becoming financially whole. Get good with money. Dinero, peria, peso, bread, wealth. I messed up. No, I really messed up this time. About 10 years ago, these were the words that replayed in my head as I sat. I'm missing something. We need some jazz, some classical. Let's pause. Excuse me. Excuse me. Let's set the tone, especially since yeah. To do that. Now we're back. Okay. Es uno momento. All right. Now you. Okay. I'm just kidding. Well, where is my laptop? Nope, it's not in the car. Okay, listen. Just like I have a lot of devices, so devices. You know, we're almost ready. We're getting us some background music if you're wondering what we're doing. See, this is the good thing about going live. You get to see some authenticity. There's no editing this. I love me. Go ahead and repeat. I love me. I love me. I love me. I love me. I tell my plants, I love me. I love you. I love you. I love you. It's an African. I love you. I love you. I love you. Y'all are getting a little taller. I love you. I love you. I love you. Yeah, let's gotta get you some care because y'all are, you're here, but I see that we're having like some issues. But I love you. And you over there, you snake plant, you just thriving. This money tree is just thriving. This a little bit too. Okay. Yeah, he's thriving. That big baby. All right. Okay, what were we doing? We can go here. Whew. I love me. I love me. I love me. I love me. Wow, that's cool. This is cool for me. You know, I go on YouTube and look, there's me live. What is it gonna show? What is it gonna show? Not showing anything. Hold on. Hold on. All right. Okay. So, if you are one who likes instrumentals, violins particularly, Damien Escobar, he's a melanated god. He's a god of violins. Yeah, he remakes songs through just the instrument of the violin, just the tunes of the violin. So this is who will be in our background. Gratitude, Damien Escobar, in your violin, in your style, in your beautiful choreographed videos. Check out his videos on YouTube. No. And he's handsome too. Don't you love my little blanket? It is. Aren't you glad we're friends? I know it's corny, but it's comfy. And it's oranges and bananas. Like, who could pass by? Who can want a blanket or need a blanket and let this go? Like, it's if you're plant-based, if you love fruit, you have to have a blanket with fruit on it. I mean, I'm not saying that if you don't, then you don't. Okay, so yeah. Let's read now. Yep, I'm using the Lotus Butter Bites for a bookmark. Now, where's the phone? What was time? See. There it is. You just can't edit this. Why can't you edit this part? No, I'm just kidding. This is my documentary. This will be part of my documentary. All right, loves. Peace and prosperity. Let's start this timer. Cancel. We start again. Take 3. Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetnista. 10 simple steps to becoming financially whole. Get good with money. All right, introduction. I messed up. No, I really messed up this time. About 10 years ago, these were the words that were played in my head as I sat crying and packing up my things for a couple of reasons. I couldn't afford my condo and had to move out pronto. This was 2009, and we were in the middle of the Great Recession. The recession was like a scary monster that lurked around every corner. We were all talking about it, and several friends had lost their jobs due to it. I had assumed I was in the clear because I was a preschool teacher, and teaching jobs were supposed to be recession proof, right? Unfortunately, my school was a nonprofit, and the corporate entities that kept us going no longer had the funds to do so. 3 days earlier, I learned that, and all the staff was out of work. As usual, I've been living on savings over the summer months. I was paid on a 9-month basis, and I had to plan ahead to stretch it through the full 12, and hadn't seen this layoff coming. That was one of the reasons I now couldn't afford my mortgage and was moving out in a rush. But let me stop. I'm getting ahead of myself. So much happened before my meltdown. Let me take it back to the very beginning. Cue. Over dramatically dream sequence music. My parents are pretty awesome. They were born and raised in small rural villages in Nigeria. My dad came to the United States first. He had little money and a dream for more. He later brought my mother, the love of his life, from a neighboring village to join him. Through hard work, discipline, and a sickening work ethic, they both earned 2 degrees, a bachelor's in economics and an MBA in finance for my dad, and a bachelor's and master's in nursing for my mom. Held down great jobs. Both are now retired and have 5 lovely college-educated daughters. I'm the second and wildest of those daughters. My parents have also always been masters at weaving financial lessons into our day-to-day activities. Here's a perfect example. I'll set the scene. Roselle, New Jersey, July 1986. I was 6 years old and heavily focused on riding my bike, playing outside, and eating ice cream. You know, serious 6-year-old stuff. But I had 3 siblings. At that time, 2 of whom were also interested in ice cream, which would have added up to a pretty big expense for my parents if we'd all been allowed to buy it from the ice cream truck every day. So my parents had devised a unique and financially responsible way for my sisters and me to enjoy treats. We each had a weekly ice cream day, which allowed us to ask for $1 when the ice cream truck came around. The others could eat the cheaper, store-bought variety stashed in the freezer. I can remember one specific occasion when my day came up. I heard the distinctive sound of the ice cream truck bell as it came down the street. I quickly ran into the house to collect my $1. "Daddy," I said excitedly, "the ice cream man is here and today is my day." "Adochi," he said a little gravely. Adochi. Adochi is my Nigerian name. Adochi. The waterman just left with your $1. My 6-year-old mind immediately started racing. Had the police been called? Was anybody hurt in the robbery? If it wasn't a robbery, what did the waterman have to do with the ice cream that was in the truck that was getting closer with every minute? I'm guessing you're just as confused as I was, so let me step back just a little further and explain the significance. of the waterman. At 6 years old, I was obsessed with water. My obsession often led to me turning on all the faucets in the house to enjoy the soothing sounds of running water no matter what room I was in at that time. At the time. As you can imagine, this habit did not go over well with my mom and dad, who A, paid for that running water, and B, were very budget conscious, which explains what my dad said next. Aliche, the waterman came because every time you run the water, it has to be paid for. So today I had to give him your ice cream day money. I have only a vague recollection of what happened next. The trauma has clearly caused me to block out this part of my history. According to my eyewitness, my sisters, I dramatically flung my body to the floor in a temper tantrum. Later that night, I cried myself to sleep, lamenting the unfairness of it all. The next morning, my dad sat me down and had my very first purposeful conscious money talk. I learned that things cost money. And that the choices I make have a direct impact on the quality of life. Yep. And in other words, there is no such thing as a small financial choice. We each, listen carefully. Tequila Nari, God Lotus Nari, listen carefully. We each must learn how to weigh our short-term desires against our long-term goals. The question is, will you choose water or ice cream? I like that. By age 26, I thought I had taken this important lesson to heart, and I was proud of my balanced finances and frequent wise choices. After all, I had defied math and managed to save $40,000 in a little under 3 years. Even though my teacher's salary started at $39,000, my credit score was an 802 out of 850. A plus plus, baby. And a year before, at the tender age of 25, I had bought the aforementioned condo. Sounds too good to be true. It was. Get your pearls ready. You'll be clutching them in a minute. The scam. The scams. In 2007, I had already accomplished the savings and stats I mentioned above. You might even say I thought I was at my most financially responsible. I was certainly feeling confident in my ability to manage my own money. So much so that I decided I was ready to start investing above and beyond mere retirement. And instead of asking my financial expert dad for a crash course on that more sophisticated concept, I turned instead to someone who had money and asked him to teach me how to grow wealth. I turned to a guy, well, we'll call Jack the Thief, JTT, for reasons that I will become apparent soon. JTT had an expensive car, owned a penthouse apartment in New York City, and always seemed to have cash on hand. In my 20s, I didn't realize that you could have expensive things, but not really own expensive things. I reached out to JTT and asked him to help me invest. I had no previous credit card debt, and he said the best way to invest is with other people's money. So he advised me to open new credit cards and take out cash advances to use the credit card company's money to build my own wealth. JGT owned several stores in Europe, and the plan was to use the money to buy American brands and ship them to his stores. We had a contract. It wasn't a total dummy, I assured myself. I wasn't a total dummy, I assured myself. And according to Jack, the projected revenue of my $20,000 investment, $20,000 investment, would be $2,000 per week for 2 years. Okay, 2,000. So his plan sounded solid to me. And since he always seems to have money, I didn't doubt where he got it or how he managed his own. I know, I must have been crazy. The truth was, I was blinded by a deep wish to help my parents retire. They had sacrificed so much to put me and my four sisters through college. My logic was to use the money I make on this $20,000 investment to make sure they no longer had to work. JTT knew this, and I now know that he took advantage of my soft-heartedness. Well, that and my total lack of knowledge. You see, before this moment, I didn't even know you could get money from a credit card. What I also didn't know was that cash advances are the worst. You might as well borrow money from your neighborhood loan shark. The amount of interest you will pay for that money means you're throwing money out of the window, stomping on it, rolling over it with your car, and allowing the elements to do their worst. Cash advances on credit cards are big, bad news. Okay, this is the part when those pearls I advise you to get should be clutched, because I took JTT's advice. I went to the bank and I asked for a $20,000 cash advance on the new credit cards I had applied for. I remember the nice bank employees being concerned about me. They kept me there for what felt like an hour, asking me questions to make sure I was making this choice of my own free will. This should have been a huge red flag, but I blissfully ignored it because I was going to make money, honey. That's what I was thinking. I got the money from the bank at last and dutifully handed it over to JTT. Screen break. I'm literally yelling at 20-something Tiffany right now. Why? No. And I'm back. But now we've reached the part of my story where a bad choice gets worse. Oh yeah, it gets worse. Apparently one scam that week was not enough, because I decided to use my new credit to further invest in myself. I always wanted to start a business, and one of my favorite financial writers was advertising an online how to start a business mentorship and training program for the temporarily low rate of, drum roll please, $15,000. 15,000. Oh my goodness, 15,000. Sounded good to me. My thinking went something like this. I would have money soon, the anticipated 2,000 a week from JTT, and even with giving my partner some cushion, my parents some cushion, I could pay that 15,000 off in a few months. After that, I figured I could use the 2,000 a week. I was sure I would still be rolling in to sustain the business. The course would teach me to start, and that business would further help support my parents. Yeah. Whew, I love that water. Some really good water. cucumbers and lemons. It's really refreshing, like really refreshing. All right, so yeah, yeah. Okay. And that business would further help support my parents. What happened instead was that in less than 1 week, I went from having no credit card debt to being 35,000 in the hole. Yikes! All this and my parents. All this and my parents, family, and friends had no idea. You're likely wondering, was the training program I bought legit and helpful? To some degree, yes, but not 15,000 helpful. However, it did help to water the seeds I had already planned for the budget needs to take roots. I feel your shock at how far from financial grace I fell in such a short period of time, but pace your sense of disbelief because it gets much worse before it gets better. Predictably, Jack, the thief, ran away with my money, never to be seen again. Yes, we had a contract, but no, I couldn't find him. Everything went downhill from there. For nearly 2 years, I refused to accept financial responsibility for my choices. I reasoned that it was all the thief's fault, not mine. That meant that although I was still a really good budgeter and saver and could have buckled down and paid off the debt in a year or two on my teacher's salary, I only paid the minimum on my credit cards while 100 JTT down. It wasn't until I turned 29 that I finally accepted that the thief and my money were really gone. Now you see why 10 years ago I was sitting in my condo crying and saying over and over that I messed up. I really messed up. I had a $52,000 student loan, $220,000 mortgage, and $35,000 in new credit card debts. My summer savings was nearly depleted, and I just found out the job I worked for and loved for 10 years was gone indefinitely. I was also preparing to move back home with my unsuspecting parents. Oh, to add insult to injury, I was newly single because I recently broken up with the boyfriend I had for 7 years. Yeah, I was not in particularly great financial or emotional shape, but things got better, right? Well, yes, but not quite. I'm sorry to tell you that I was not yet at my lowest point. That came next. I enjoyed a happy week or two when a friend agreed to rent my condo from me for $1,500 a month, which would put me only $160 short of the mortgage payment. I was so excited at the prospect of having most of my mortgage paid. However, that I ignored some huge red flags. Yet again, apparently I'm colorblind when it comes to red. The day my friend was supposed to move in, she didn't have her deposit for the first month's rent. She explained that her previous landlord hadn't given back her safety deposit yet. I needed to believe her in any way. Unfortunately, she was late on rent every single month for nearly a year. Mm-mm-mm. Yes, as you realize, which meant that I spent the rest of my savings and even withdrew all the money from my retirement account trying to pay mortgage despite not living in my condo because I didn't know how to evict her. Let's recap. I have a condo I no longer live in and a problematic tenant. I owed massive debts. I had no job and no savings, and I lived at home. My parents, although awesome, were super strict. I had a curfew even though I was almost 30. And my youngest sister, Lisa, was staying in my high school bedroom with suites in the basement. So, excuse me. Mm. So I was regulated to my middle school bed. I was regulated to my middle school bed in what was now my mother's second closet guest room. And I was still single. Big surprise. I lived this way for 2 years. I didn't go out. I avoided my friends and stopped picking up the phone when my money ran out and the bill collector started calling. Ultimately, the bank would foreclose on my condo. A little petty update on Jack the Thief before we continue. A recent quick Google search of his name revealed that apparently his scamming didn't end with me. He's currently in prison for identity theft and a myriad of other offenses. The federal government indicted him for trying to create fake passports while using the identity of U.S. citizens. Huh? Karma, right? Mm-hmm. The Budgetnista is born. I have a good friend named Linda. Linda and I were pretty much born into friendship. Mm. That is the 31 piece. Up, we're at 31. No. 38 minutes on the live. 38 minutes on the live. Oh, okay. My bad. I seen 30. Seen 30. I have a good friend named Linda. Linda and I were pretty much born into friendship. When my parents immigrated from Nigeria, they connected with other Nigerian couples and formed a community. Linda's mom and my parents became fast friends as young people chasing a new dream in a new country. I was at the above described lifetime low when Linda finally got me on the phone. I've been avoiding her for months. I'd always been known as the girl in our friend group who had her financial life together. A large part of my identity was tied up in how well I managed my finances. Now that I was a money mess, I wasn't sure who I was anymore, and I was embarrassed and ashamed. When we finally spoke, I tried to pretend that everything was okay, but I quickly fell apart and started crying. I told her everything. I told her everything. I told her how I lost my job. I told her about the JTT credit card scam, the course I bought, the bad tenant, and the pending foreclosure, the student loans I owed, and how I drained my savings and retirement accounts. Her reaction surprised me. Linda chuckled and said, "Is that it? I thought you committed a crime or something." Tiffany, everyone is struggling with their finances, and that doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you human. She went on to explain that most of our friends were still hot messes financially, and that I was not alone in trying to figure things out. She normalized my mistakes, and our talk allowed me to forgive myself. And once I was able to let go of the shame, the shame of my financial mistakes, I was able to focus on solutions. I realized that I had all the skills to solve my dilemma. I started by writing down all the strategies I learned growing up: how to budget, how to save, how to get out of debt, and how to manage my credit. Mm. How to manage my credit. These are things that I knew how to do, but temporarily forgot when things got hard. Okay. Hmm. As I started to fix my own finances and gain momentum, my friends took notice and started asking me for help. Linda wasn't wrong that they too were reeling from the recession and financially and financial errors they made. Soon I was helping most of my friends, and their friends took notice and started asking me for help too. Before I knew it, I was sitting down with someone every weekend and helping them to make plans to fix their financial messes. There's a saying that goes, when you teach, you learn twice. That's what happened to me. The more I taught, the more I learned. The more I learned, the more I taught. Love it. Each person I helped exposed me to new challenges, and helping them helped me to find solutions from new and different financial programs. Beautiful. Let's see. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, found solution different financial problem. We're racing for 2 years. I donated my time, helped hundreds of people while babysitting, collecting unemployment, renting my condo to new, more reliable tenant, and taking jobs here and there to make ends meet. My not so babysitter taking jobs here and there. My not so babysitter Lisa started calling me the budget needs that. I liked the ring of it and decided that if I was ever able to turn my free financial coaching into a business, I use that name for it. That happened sooner than I might have imagined. My volunteer work caught the eye of my local United Way, and they asked me to create a curriculum and to teach a series of, yeah, I want to stop at the 38, so I'm going to keep checking. Classes to the community, a series of classes to the community. My business was born, and this was my very first contract. I was back in the classroom, but this time instead of 15 screaming 3 and 4-year-olds, I was helping adults to get and stay on the financial track. Grace and gratitude for choosing this Sky Lotus Nari frequency. We will pick up tomorrow for our 38 minutes of live preparing and reading. Get good with money. Yes, let's stimulate our mind, our body, our pockets. Let's gain great health and wealth in all forms. This is a way, reading and applying, nurturing yourself, nurturing your plants. Peace.